Folks, hello and welcome to Iron Rations. Look at that. Holy fuck, we're on time.
No
I am
kidding.
I am Eric Tenkar. With me, as always, is none other than Joe the lawyer.
Hey guys, how you doing today? Happy Friday. It's been a bit, I think, because we had that weird. Whenever we what do we do? The first and third, or second and fourth? I always
Well,
forget.
whatever the hell it is, but
We had the extra week in
we
there,
do the
so it's been a
second, we
gap.
do the second and the fourth, and I swapped one. I swapped with what would have been a dead weekend to bring in Glenn,
Yep.
so I could be off
Yep.
for my wedding anniversary. That was back in
hmm
November, and
hmm
then
I had a miss because of a game. We've been doing this for like what 13, 15 years. Me and my brother actually started before I even got back from Colorado. He started doing a post Thanksgiving Day guys hangout thing, which started out with like probably I think playing EverQuest and morphed into D&D. So the day after Thanksgiving, we all go to his house, and this time we had to get somebody in there electronically on via Roll20 because the guy plays from he's in some Midwestern state, and we got them all in there. But that was our all day D&D day where we start D&D at 9:30 at the local liquor store,
ooh,
buying all our stuff. We get back to his house around 10:30 or whatever with some food. We got chips from Thanksgiving, we got food from Thanksgiving, and we're just starting drinking early and starting playing. I think we played till like Jesus, like about 8 o'clock though. I was 8:30. I was fried, man. It's a long DMing day, like 9 hours, 8 9 hours DMing. It's a fun time though. It's a real fun time. Yeah,
nice.
that guy Willis. Yeah, Willis is Dwayne. Sounds like a real pain in the
Ah,
ass. You couldn't fly out, motherfucker. What the hell?
what? You didn't know? You didn't have a year to prepare? What the fuck,
You know,
man?
fuck COVID. Get your ass out here.
We've got a
Yeah,
mask for you. Don't worry about it.
absolutely. We'll
Or a
get you a
blanket
soup.
party, depending on what you need.
Yeah, no, it was a good time though, man. It was a good time. So yeah, so that was that night. So yeah, it's been a while. We haven't done this in a bit. I'm
But
glad to
it
be
doesn't
back.
for us. It doesn't necessarily feel like that because we've been
No,
gaming on Mondays.
I know. We see each other all the time, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's running in first in my game, and now Greg Christopher ran the first of a few sessions of Alien as I take a few week hiatus. He's running the Alien RPG, and it was fun. It was really
yeah.
fun.
It was. I'm going to say surprisingly fun because
Yeah,
it was a system I was not familiar with, and I should be because I was. Greg told me like to buy the starter box like over the summertime, and I did.
yeah.
And true confession, I was happy I bought it because it looked cool, but I never opened up the cellophane,
Mm.
so it's still sitting on one of my shelves unopened. And that includes having played the first session. I
Yeah.
went into it going, I have no idea how any of this stuff gets resolved, but that's okay. I'm ready to have my hand held.
And it was such an easy game for that. I mean, I spent about an hour and a half going through my because he sent the pre-gen characters. He sends. I may have come across a PDF of a rule system that says aliens on top of it somewhere, and reading through that was a hellish nightmare. Then Greg sent I don't know maybe 4 or 5 page summary of all the essential rules. Right, it's like Alien for dopes. So I read through that, and what I did learn from this is that learning new rule systems, no matter how simple, is a young man's game, boys and
Oh
girls.
God.
Because at 51, the shit wasn't. I got one solid page in my head, and then that was it. I'm done. You know.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Now I'm a little bit older. I'm 54, and at this point in my lifespan, I will learn a new system, but only through play. I will not be
Yeah.
able to learn it by reading the rules in front of me and understand. Like I used to be able to read a rule. I grab a book and with like read it in I don't know a couple of hours and be
hmm
ready to play the next day
hmm
and run it. And I can't come anywhere close to that. I can't play it. I can't figure out how to create a character. I can't do shit.
It's crazy. I mean, it's a whole different world now. It's a whole when you're trying to do this, and because you relate everything back to the thing you've been doing for 40 years, right? D&D,
Right.
and so you're trying to say, well, this is like that, and this is like that. But when there's some shit that ain't like anything, you're like, what the fuck is this about? You just sit
Well,
there looking at it.
at least Aliens uses D6, so I could still say, well, I still remember, Star Wars Open D6, still like that
hmm
system, still mostly understand it. Tunnels and Trolls use a D6. So the D6's part didn't scare me,
hmm
but I was still trying to figure out the fumbles, not the wild die, but what was it? Fucking last die that you rolled was supposed to be. That was the I don't know. Don't roll a 1 on that final die because it could fuck you up.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that's the fucking dice when you're. It's like you're losing your shit dice.
Yeah,
You're nervous.
panic
You
die or
fumble.
whatever.
The panic die, whatever the hell it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the equivalent a little bit, kind of like the Call of Cthulhu's insanity points in some way, except it's more granular, less overarching. You know what I mean? It's more
Right.
inside of what you're doing right now. So yeah, it was fun though. It was really,
it was
a
a
good
fun.
time.
It was a fun system. Greg runs a great game.
Yeah.
And was he comfortable with Roll20? Not at all.
No,
Didn't make
yeah.
a difference.
Didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. Yeah, he was he did it well. You know, yeah, because we've all used Roll20. I guess I didn't realize he doesn't use Roll20. He does a lot of in-person shit. You know, so yeah, I didn't really understand that. But yeah, it's a good deal. It's a good deal, man. It was a good. And I like the break. It gives me time to sort of like decompress. I've been running the Bronze Age thing for a couple months now, and it's like I'd sit back for a few weeks, reflect. You know, and plus I'm doing a lot of stuff in the other Saturday night games, so I could get some shit done there. It's nice to have these little pauses, I think, in between. You know.
Yeah, and it fits well for the month of December because the month of December is usually the month where there's always game conflicts.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, parties and
parties, responsibility. In my family, we've got my mother's birthday, my sister's birthday, my niece's birthday, all coming up next week.
Yeah.
So it's like December is a busy fucking month.
Yeah, my brother's got a few. He works for a company. He's ahead of some stuff, so he's got a few parties he has to go. My old boss, when I was in sales in Manhattan, she used to call these. It's a mandatory good time. Damn it, go! You know, so it's like these mandatory good times. So he's got to get to. So we're off on a Saturday game for a bit. So it's kind of nice though. You get, like I said, time to decompress and time to figure bullshit out. You know. Oh, yeah. Speaking of bullshit and figuring something out, I saw your video you posted today a couple hours ago about this TSR lawsuit, man.
Oh, geez.
This dude's a lunatic. I don't know what the fuck is going on. You file it, you take it down, you still keep your Indiegogo thing raising money.
Well, now time out. Now, here's the thing. You can see my cat. Hi.
Once in, huh?
Hi. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. You kind of should blend out, but you can't sit on this chair with me. I'm sorry, young lady.
I mean, it's not your chair. It's the cat's chair. That's the lesson you haven't learned yet as a cat owner.
Yeah, well, I love the way she fades in and fades out. There you go.
Yeah. Well, it's like a mystical. Maybe it's like you're familiar. It's a semi-spiritual familiar there.
She can't decide. Should I lick Daddy's arm or nip it? So, in any case, here's kind of what's going on. When I first saw the Indiegogo page, I think I felt like many others. Oh my God, look at this. TSR is suing Wizards of the Coast for slander and libel. Oh my God. And then when you finally get to see the actual legal paperwork, which I got to give a huge shout out to this community because there are a number of lawyers within this community, some who have access to really large law firms that were able to make phone calls and emails. And when I requested paperwork, it literally popped up within, I don't know, 20 minutes. I was like, holy crap. Yeah. And it was all about the trademark, but it was asking for a summary judgment as to the ownership of the copyrights and the trademarks.
Yeah, it was like a declaratory action, basically, where you want the court to declare who's right ahead of time before there's even a legal battle for it. It's like, hey, tell me I'm right if I sue. Tell me I'll win. You know, that kind of a thing. And I'm going to sue to get you to tell me that I'm win if I sue. It's that kind of shit, right?
Right. So now, quick story, not so long, hopefully, is that Lanasa/TSR last year filed for TSR abandoned trademarks, the graphical ones, so the classic ones, like, you know, the TSR logo that kind of looks like the OSR logo that we all kind of know.
Yeah.
They filed for that one. The classic Lizard Man, the classic Wizard, the classic Dragon Medallion, and the Game Wizards with the Man in the Moon. They filed for all these. Jesus. But what's interesting is that until I think August, they forgot to file for the actual letters TSR. They were so busy trying to snipe abandoned properties that they forgot to actually get the one that reflected their company.
It's amazing. I can't get over the whole shit show of it all.
Well,
I mean,
well,
why? Why are you doing this?
well,
You
well
know?
here's a little inside information that a lot of people don't realize, and I'll be honest, I didn't realize this at the beginning. The artwork, like the Lizard Man artwork from Greg Bell,
Yeah.
the classic. Well, the artwork that they trademarked was not the Greg Bell artwork. It was Jeff D's artwork that Jeff D was hired to do in imitation of Bell.
All right.
And okay, so technically it isn't the Wizards of the Coast copyright in this case. And that's one of the copyright, well, that's one of the trademarks they didn't relinquish.
Well, there's a shit show back then anyway. I was listening to one of Tim Kask's things he did somewhere. It was actually very entertaining. It's the one we talks about pies. But before he talks about pies, he was talking about how I guess there was some artist who was writing, write these little snippets, these little pictures, whatever, and he sent them in. It was a kid or something, right? Young guy. And he'd send them into Dragon back when Tim was running the show, and Tim would publish them or whatever. And later he found out the kid was basically tracing comic shit from like some comic book and just adding a sword or something. You know what I mean? Is that kind of shit he was doing. So it's like, Jesus Christ, what the hell? It's like him blatant theft, and he didn't even know it, you know?
Well, and listen, he didn't have the internet, right?
How are you going to know?
And on top of that, here's the issue. And this is probably why TSR was looking for a summary judgment when it comes to the ownership of this stuff, is that a lot of this stuff, whatever contracts that were filled out on a scrap piece of paper, guttling or receipts for this work, it's probably long gone. If there ever was such, a lot of this stuff was probably done by word. All right, great, yeah, kid, you live in a neighborhood, you brought this in. Here's $10. Have a few beers, man.
Have dinner on me.
Yeah,
you guys probably what it costs $10. $10 back then, 1975. You could take somebody to dinner and drink and see a movie. Maybe that's a whole date right there.
So I listen. I can understand why new TSR would attempt that, but what happened is, apparently, according to the cease and desist letter that they were emailed. Which, by the way, I'm going to put my hand up. Thank you very much, Wizards of the Coast and your legal team, for using a screenshot from the tavern in your legal filing.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, that was when I shared a Facebook posting of Justin's where he was going to license off the 5 trademarks for other publishers to use. Because again, this wasn't being snagged because he wanted to use it on products himself. He was trying to monetize it.
You know what reminds me of the old, remember the internet first came around in the mid 90s and people were, I didn't believe the web was ever going to turn into anything. I was using Gopher and FTP and Telnet and all the other shit from, Unix and Linux days, right? So I'm like, who wants all this? Besides, look how long it takes to download a picture. Fuck this web stuff. And so, but other people who were smarter than me started buying up things like beer.com, food.com, business.com, and they're just sitting
made good money on it.
And they're selling it for 20 to 30 or 50 grand a pop. Some dude who was a VJ at MTV bought MTV.com and sold it to MTV. It's like, way to go, man. Couldn't get away with that now.
No. You would be like, sorry, you lost it. We'll refund your money.
Yeah, that's what this whole bullshit sounds like. I'm going to grab trademarks in case someone needs them someday, wants to buy them from me, and I'll sell them to somebody. Yeah, Jesus,
but in any case, and I'm not a lawyer, and I don't have
barely a lawyer.
But here, but you're not talking as a lawyer, so
no, yeah, definitely not. This is just me talking with a couple drinks.
Right.
So take nothing I say as legal advice or even wisdom right now.
Right. But here's the thing. New TSR redid all the classic trademarks, the graphical representations.
Yeah.
So they trademarked the redone artwork. They didn't announce it, but I have seen information that states it as such. And like the wizard, the stars in the hat are different between the original, whatever. Okay. So, but TSR started canceling these trademarks after they got that letter. But I believe that this did not become an issue until they started really shaking the tree with Star Frontiers. claiming that they had a finished product and showing it on a video, but then not showing you any of the pages.
Yeah.
And apparently the character sheet for it is like a D20 modern OGL character
Oh,
sheet.
really?
Oh yeah, it's not a percentile system. They don't
Yeah.
have the IP. So I believe, and now I'm just this is a hypothesis, folks. So I'm not speaking with any inside information. But Evil Hat, when they tried to trademark Star Frontiers, they got as far as you need to submit your statement of use. You have 6 months to do so. If you fail to do so, it's like the last step in the process for securing your trademark. If you don't submit your statement of use after 6 months, your application expires. It's no longer any good. I believe we are 12 days away in the case of TSR and their statement of use for Star Frontiers.
Interesting.
Now, if you're really planning on using the trademark, you figure I would have sent that. Oh,
yeah, as soon as you, grab it. Put it in there right away.
Hired to do the shit. Hey, Justin Humphreys. I love the fact they both have the same name for a first name, but Justin, it's Justin. You file that shit, man. What are you waiting for? Don't pull a TSR2 and forget to renew this shit. Let's get out there and come on.
You know, it is an interesting question though. Besides the trade dress, right? The logo looking like TSR, the trademark TSR, right? It's an interesting question because if somebody owns the trademark TSR and the Wizards is selling things with something that says TSR on it, it's just really interesting to me, legally speaking. I don't know what the fuck that is or what it means, you know?
Well, here's the thing. All right, this is my understanding. When Justin Lanasa, the newest TSR, snagged or thought they snagged and forgot to actually snag the actual TSR trademark.
Yeah.
Last year, if it had been fought by the owners of the trademark who let it lapse, if they had fought it because they have product out there, current product from a top secret New World Order.
Yeah.
They could have said, hey, it's still in use. We might have let it lapse. The registration might have lapsed, but it's still in use. And they likely would have kept it. But that was a legal battle. It's all cost money.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. Everything costs money in this. And this guy is getting, what's he up to $2,000 now? The Indiegogo is still going. He withdrew his case. It's no longer in existence, but he reserved the right to file again, so he could do it again. That makes me think there's no settlement from Wizards, because Wizards, if they had any lawyer worth their salt, any 1 month old lawyer is going to say, if we're going to settle, you're going to make sure you could never file again. That would have been part of it. So either he's withdrew it for some tactical reason, he wants to file somewhere else, like you were alluding to. I don't know, but it's probably not going away. But he's got $2,000 in his pocket now. So that's
he's got $2,000 in his pocket now. Part of the issue that Joe was talking about is this case was filed in federal court in North Carolina, but generally speaking, and I'm sure there are exceptions to this rule, you are supposed to file in a court that is a court of convenience, or the actual legal term is, to your defendant. So if your defendant's in the state of Washington, you should be filing in a court that is convenient to a defendant in the state of Washington. Yeah. Failing that, you would probably file in a state that you are incorporated in, which in this case is Wisconsin. So why do they file in North Carolina? Well, they filed in North Carolina specifically because that's where their law firm is in.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole thing about contacts. There's if it's a large corporation and the lawsuit's worth so much over a certain threshold, and that corporation or that entity or business or person has sufficient number of contacts in a certain state, then they've basically subjected themselves to jurisdiction. They could always try to get it moved. Maybe they just, too far away. They might file in wherever the hell Washington's, federal court is. Who knows? Because federal court's all different than state court, right? So I mean, who knows what they're going to do? Who the hell knows? Honestly, it's just I don't get it. It's all kinds of crazy looking weird.
Yeah, listen, and I'm gonna. The people are gonna be surprised when I say this. Justin Lanasa is not stupid. Okay, so if you don't think that there's a long plan to all this, I am sure there is. Now, pretty much every trademark, but the Lizard Man, that was initially going to be farmed out under license to others has been either abandoned or canceled. So really, why would you be fighting over stuff that you already gave back under threat of C&D? I don't know. And the ownership of the Lizard Man, it's not Greg Bell's artwork, so we don't need to know about that. And other artwork, I mean, what are you going to say if Wizards of the Coast can't prove ownership, that it's the ownership to TSR? This is not the same TSR.
Yeah, it's just some dude in there. I mean, that's what pisses me off. Like I listen to Clownfish TV quite often. They have it's a YouTube channel, a few hundred thousand.
I've listened.
Decent channel. Some things, but on all things TSR,
when it covers our hobby.
No, he doesn't know jack shit. He really doesn't. This guy, he's just clueless. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know the people. He doesn't know the stories. There's like a dude who played D&D like we all did, 80s and 90s or whatever. And he has fond nostalgia for TSR. I think he's stirring the shit to get viewers. Either that or he just legit doesn't know shit and he thinks he does know shit. But I listen to him and his take is all different. He thinks this is some reincarnation of TSR because Ernie works there. Come on.
And listen, I like Ernie, but Ernie was not... Was he an employee of the original TSR? Yes. Was he a creative at the original TSR? No. He ran the Hobby Shop Dungeon, I believe. He's probably the one that sent me a box full of comics that belonged to somebody else, and I didn't send back because.
Yep, Rob Kuntz too. He said he did that too back in the day. He was running that for a while. He told me once. It's the guy in the warehouse. You know what I mean? So,
as Luxford says, if only they, meaning TSR, had actual products or a product.
Yeah,
and they're pushing a board game which apparently isn't really from them. It's from Wizard Tower Games, and Ernie's name is on it in really large letters. But Ernie didn't write the game; he was maybe a consultant on it. The actual author of the game is in really small letters because it's a name that nobody knows.
I'm not saying this Lanasta dude is taking advantage of Ernie. I'm not saying that, but I hope it's not happening.
Well, I mean. I have been told by financial individuals, I'll put it to that way, not people necessarily involved in the law, but people involved in the financing side of things, that if Wizards of the Coast were to come out ahead in this legal action and asked to have their legal costs recouped, that it would likely put the members of the board at risk to be obligated to fulfill that obligation of paying back lawyers that were probably earning $200 plus an hour for a legal action over. I don't want to call it silliness, but if you're TSR and
the legal term is frivolous, a frivolous lawsuit. If it is a frivolous lawsuit,
if you are TSR and you lose, and you get hit with the court costs for Wizards of the Coast, you're in for. You're not going to be around, and you could be a personal losses, not just for Justin, but for Ernie and Duck. And
they got some level of insurance protection against that, but I suspect it may not be.
I don't know.
It's depressing.
Justin has numerous businesses. He's also worked in real estate. He was in the Coast Guard. I would like to assume somebody with his background would have taken legal protection seriously while forming their LLC for this.
Who knows?
Well, we'll know later.
I got something interesting tonight.
Yes, you do.
We've talked about this before.
You pulled a surprise on me tonight.
I did. A couple hours ago, I just sat down. It took me about almost 2 hours to do all this, but because I've been talking about the old blog days many times here, at least every other podcast, and how much I loved it and how great the community it was and how we shared things. And, somebody would post a blog here, some blog post, and 10 people would comment, and then it would spread like virus all over the blogosphere of the old school back then. And things were just real fun and interesting. And he has, a good crew of people, good crew of blogs, a couple hundred of us. It was a good time. So I thought to myself, and I may have mentioned this on here once before, it'd be so cool to do a retrospective, pick a day in the life of the blogosphere back then and see what was going on. So I actually did that. I picked a month, December 2010. All right. And I got about 20 blogs, all the old school blogs that you'll recognize. All right. We're going to start with Gothridge Manor. We're going to end with Matt Jackson. And there's about 20 blogs in between. We got Rob Connolly. We got Greg Nardia. We got Paladin, Citadel Head. We got Chicago Wiz, all these guys, Tim Brennan. And so I picked a good selection of topics, things that we were talking about. And I figure each topic is interesting in and of itself. Maybe we could comment on it a few minutes and bump to the next one,
Sounds
so
good.
figure what the hell, let's give it a shot. So the first one. Now, how do you want to do this? I guess I could share my screen.
Share the screen, and I think I have to do the final, put it up. So when you share your screen, then we'll become small on the left.
Yeah. All right, so I'll go to share here. Make sure there's nothing inappropriate for the youngsters showing here on some other screens. No, we're all clear. It's all safe. It's all sanitized.
Okay, Mr. Tubin.
I got nothing going on there. All right, cool. Let me close this out. Whoops, and we will share now. All right. Is that working?
That works. Adding to the stream.
All right, so this is the Gothridge Manor blog, boys and girls. All right, so it's his Tim Shorts, Gothridge Manor as a podcast, as a blog. He was around forever. He has a Gothridge Manor podcast, and just as a quick glance, because it's a much more fancified blog than what I had back then. I don't think none of us had anything like this back then. But what you're looking at here is an article from December 22nd, 2010. Now, just a quick look at the blog. All right, you have on the right and on the left, Tim has a blog list, which was fantastic. Everybody would look at each other's blogs. I would look at Tim's page and I see 5 other blogs I want to read, and I'd add them to my own blog list, right?
Yep.
And then you always had this blog archive here on the left where you could see, what was going, it would go back in history to anything. And that's what I actually used to figure out. I'm doing December 2010. So I went to these 20 blogs. So just a quick glance here, starting with Tim. Dead or Unconscious, back in the 80s. I'll just do a quick skim of the thing and maybe we could touch base on it. We all pretty much played the same rules of AD&D. There were some differences from DM to DM, but not many. And one rule that was pretty standard was unconscious in death. At 0 to -9, you're in blackout land but still breathing, but at -10, you're dead, right? So again, he's generalizing, and he's talking about now a lot of people are in the OSR were at the time talking about dead is at 0. That's way brutal and hardcore, right? I mean, the older OD&D, maybe that was it. So dead at 0, what do you do? And he's talking about what he wanted to do. Maybe he likes a big of a range, having maybe somebody get knocked out. It dies only when he's at his negative con score. And this is what we were doing back then. This is the perfect example of what we were doing back then, right? You're sitting there talking about a thing that you played, and we're all finally seeing other people outside our little circle, and we're playing with them on various platforms, right? Or in person, or talking about our games together. And so we're all playing together and we're saying, geez, you do it this way. I wonder why. I never did that. I never thought about that. That's a perfect example right here. Tim's thinking about, he's like, I always did it this way, but he always pretty much did it that way. But here's a different way to do it. And here's what I like. And here's why. Right. I mean, it's just perfect little snapshot of what this was about, I think. And then even better down here, this is what it was awesome about it, right? This is the comments section. All right, we got Pat chiming in. 0 HP at death is an OD&D basic thing. The -10 showed up in AD&D. That was my memory too. Mm-hmm. And JB Black Razor, remember that guy?
All right. Yeah.
Good guy. He wrote the BX Companion, which was a fantastic book. It took the BX. It was, as opposed to BX Essentials, which is now old school Essentials, BX Companion. It basically was, in his mind, a creation of the companion set as opposed to the BECME companion set. He did a sort of an idea of what this should have been. It was pretty cool. So he's talking about the jovial priest. I mean, people just typed. They just chimed in, and sometimes people replied, sometimes they didn't, and sometimes they would just do a blog post on their own on that topic and say, you know what, I got more to say than just a comment, or the comment helped me flush something out, and I'm gonna throw up my own blog post about it. Then more people would jump over there and comment. This one post, I think, in a nutshell, says all of that. What we were doing. It was a fun time.
And Mark Hunt has a good point. This was back when every house rule did not become a new game.
Yes.
Now, I have a house rule. Okay, it's Tenkar's terrible OSR.
Mm-hmm. OSRPG. Yeah. Exactly. We were just fucking with rules. We were just riffing off each other in a sense. It was kind of a little bit like jazz, right? We're just riffing off each other from our blog to their blog to the comment section to trying it out in the game the next week and then reporting back about it and seeing how it was, And so that's Tim's. And I got a perfect example of that expansion. All right. I got a few blog posts here. Remember Trollsmith?
Oh my God,
Right?
vaguely, yes.
Yeah. Great guy. Great guy. He is, I don't know if he's still, guys, you got to check out some of these blogs. You can see the address, Trollsmith, SMYTH, blogspot.com. Right. Check out some of the blogs. A lot of them are still putting shit out, not as much as they were back then, but they're still doing it. Right. And so this is an example of, and it's an interesting topic still to this day. People are still talking about this shit over at the RPG site, which I used to, that's the pundits board, right? RPG board, which is the Moss Isley of the OSR, the cesspool of scum and villainy, but they generally stay on topic. I really think, they don't get to the Nazi things 30 posts in at least,
Yeah.
But it's so Ryan Dancy.
Depending on who drops into some people are more, extreme off topic than the majority will stay on topic. Then it becomes personal between two, and the red turns into shite.
Interestingly enough, as I was looking for something on Tanker's Tavern from 2010, you had a bunch, dude. You had like 3,000 posts a day. Motherfucker was wading through. It's like, what the hell? I don't think I've hit 500 posts on my blog yet. You had like 500 a week, like crap.
All right.
Anyway,
maybe not 500 a week, but certainly at least 50 in a month.
You were cruising there, man.
Or maybe 100 in a month, actually.
Yeah, some of them you were cruising. I'll show you in a minute when we get to yours. Is at the end, actually. I'll show you what it is. But yeah, so anyway, he was Ryan Dancy was the dude who put out the OGL, which is why the OSR fucking exists in the first place, right? So yeah, so Dancy started a discussion on how social mechanics from that game Dogs in a Vineyard. It was like dogs who were supposed to guard a vineyard. I vaguely remember this stupid ass story game.
Oh, I never played it.
Me either, because it was stupid. Maybe a way to improve gameplay in traditional Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, I know. And the thread starts off as a hideous mess, just as you would expect. However, John Morrow has some interesting things to say. So then he's talking about basically there is some neat social mechanics in Dogs in the Vineyard, and it might make D&D more fun. I was shocked and hurt that Dancy would be a story gamer guy. But John Morrow made a point here. The characters are no longer making decisions based on what's happening in a setting, but they're looking for ways to wedge things like background mentions or relationship connections into the situation just to get modifiers. Yeah, this is the story game thing. That's what it was. It was all about social mechanics, and that debate kind of raged for a long time because you had the Forge. Remember? That whole Forge scene. They had those were the 3 or 4 letters to describe, are you a gamist, story, or all these at least stupid things. So and Trollsmith goes into something. He says old school D&D is a game about exploration and has almost no rules about exploring. Discusses the problems of exploring and gives us tools for tackling it and creates rewards for exploring, but it's in a tangential way. And so yeah, the D&D is more loosey-goosey. You don't need rules for social interactions.
No.
And so, this kind of stuff still goes on today, but these are some really good arguments and really good thoughts and from a different perspective, because 11 years ago, people said and thought differently than they do today in a lot of things. People are able to say and think different things in a lot of ways than they can today.
Yeah, it's a bit more, I don't want to say policed, but yeah.
Yeah. People self-censor because of bullshit. Dogs in a Vineyard is a story game about playing Mormon enforcers who engage in bids to resolve problems in Mormon communities. That's not, where are you killing dragons? I don't think Mormons kill dragons, do they? Is it against the religion?
Whether it's, no, I'm not even going to, whatever I say in jest will certainly be taken out of context or in context, and I'll just sound like a dick. So I'm not going to say it.
Yep. Safer. I like what you got going on here too is like citations. Here is another example. A while back, Zach Smith, how to add something like feats to old school D&D. And so he expands the conversation based on something else he read, puts a citation by way of a hyperlink, and just continues. And so once you get down to the end, 11 comments, right? Telecanter, remember him? Trollsmith responding to Telecanter, right? So Aaron, I remember her. I remember Aaron. Yep. So all these comments, and then what happens, right? The next thing happens. So Trollsmith, now, how to start a revolution in 21 days or less. This was a great blog. I don't think they've posted anything since 2015, but Natalie also went by Odyssey in various places talking about it. What do we mean by social interaction? right? Furious activity on his blog. And I think that he was her DM. I remember I played with them both at least once back in the day because they're always playing with each other, you know? That sounded a little bit weird, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, just saying. He said play with each other.
Yeah. I don't like, that's the one thing I don't like when I do my, now with the 5e game I'm running and with the Bronze Age game I'm running, you're never going to be able to roll an insight check to see if a dude is lying. Why did I go through a half an hour of a role play session just so you could roll dice to understand and debug everything I just did? Doesn't make any sense to me, you know? I don't know. Do you use that ever in anything? Insights, things like that? Read my mind?
Read any abilities, and even in AD&D to read minds was always going to be something that was going to take the game in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: you're taking the story or the gameplay that will evolve, and you are literally turning stuff that should be players thinking into roles. And I understand that with 5e, there's a rule for everything, and if you know the 5e rules well, you can run an amazing game with that. You can probably pull out the rules that you don't think you need.
Yeah.
There's just too. I like the OSR because if there's not a rule for something, I just fucking wing it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, that's the way to do it. That's the fun and free thing about it. Look at this, Tenkar making a comment.
Oh, I made a comment again.
I did all my gaming these days via Fantasy Grounds, a virtual tabletop. Some groups use Skype with their VTT games, but we've been 100% chat for the last 2 years. I truly think it heightens the role playing compared to my old dining room table sessions. Those were always more socialized first, role play second. The VTT makes the game more role play first, socialize second, or something like that.
Oh wow, that's back when I was playing Castles and Crusade. Rach and I were dating. We weren't married yet. We were just dating.
Okay.
And she insisted that I game on my Saturday nights, and
all right,
couldn't believe it. So yeah.
No, we had a lot of Saturday night games. It was a good time, man. Yeah, I don't think I was doing the VTT then. I wasn't playing with you back then. I don't think we had any sort of game going. But yeah, that was much later. Dude, speaking of Castles and Crusades, I backed their Kickstarter like a fucking year and a half ago, and then a big box of shit. I backed a bunch of their stuff. Those bastards made a lot of money off of me during COVID with the extra money I was spending at the bar. But I got their Monster Manual, their DM guide, and I got their Player's Handbook and a couple other books, and they're such high quality. I gotta say, still typos because they're Castles and Crusades, but high quality stuff.
I'm glad you're saying it, not me.
Yeah. I found one book already. I'm like, dude, this must have been out like 19 editions. There's still a fucking typo. How does nobody find this shit? What the fuck? Oh man. So anyway, so that's Odyssey, Natalie. Right now, what do we got? What a horrible night to have a curse. And again, all these blogs, guys, go back and find them. They're fantastic. Trollsmith wrote a post about Ryan Dancy. Said something about Aaron replied to that, and Trollsmith responded, and then Greg at Aaron RPG threw in his 2 cents, and that's actually what prompted me to get into the whole shebang. Boom. That's exactly what we were doing, right? And so now you're getting into this thing, and they talk about the Forge. And here's my take. I, number one, disagree with Mr. Dancy that RPGs are designed to tell stories. At least the more traditional ones I like to play aren't. The Forge indie games that I've played that were designed with the express purpose of telling a story aren't very fun for me. I think this is because the stories that get told in them aren't usually very good stories.
Well, I think that RPGs, as I play them, the story emerges from the gameplay, from the dice rolls, from the player's interaction, and it isn't emerging because of mechanics that are put into the game to force a story to emerge.
Yeah.
So, the story starts. It's in here. We're playing it out, and it's like reading a good book that you start imaging. Like if you and I talked about our session with the Aliens RPG from Monday, you're going to have different memories of what happened than I did.
Dude, that's exactly what he says here. He says, I've said it before, but I think the best stories that come from RPGs are created after the game. When you recount what happened and leave out all the boring bits or make connections after the fact that you didn't in the heat of the moment, or add a bit of the gilding to the lily of what happened in the game. And who doesn't do that, right?
Yep.
Then he goes into, what do you think of... why do you think most recordings of actual game sessions are boring to listen to? And this ties into what the hell's going on today. What is that critical, whatever the fuck on YouTube?
That's acting. I
Yeah,
don't know if that counts. It's scripted acting.
yeah, it's true. But he says this is great fun to play, but like golf, they're not really fun as a spectator sport. Properly edited video, yeah. So this is, see how another tangent here we're going off into,
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and it's good stuff, man. And he
It's still
rehashes
relevant.
various points. What's that?
It's still relevant.
It is. It is. It wasn't that Scott SZ a douche. Am I remembering that right?
Yes.
I thought so. See, I don't remember the dude or anything about him, but I see Scott SZ and I think douche, and so I'm glad I'm not so far off. Oh man, but look, Aaron, Dennis, yeah, Aaron again. This is good shit, man. And so you close this out, and look at this. Talking about your comment, here's Tenkar's Tavern. The sky is falling. Another Tales of Watsy's virtual tabletop.
Ooh.
I don't know if you remember this one you wrote. You probably on a break at
I-
work or
I-
something.
I don't remember it exactly, but this is the VTT that in the end wound up being the hey, our two programmers are romantically involved. What happens if the guy kills the girl? We don't have a VTT anymore, do we?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think that this is, basically what you're arguing here is folks are going to have to pay you're worried about Wizards of the Coast virtual tabletop going to destroy role playing as we know it because they're going to play to pay certain races and classes. Yeah,
that was how 4E was going to succeed.
It was. That was their game plan. I think we all knew it. Yeah. Yeah. That was the thing. And so you were thinking microtransactions. I mean, who the hell knows, right?
Right.
But you summarize it with virtual tabletops can only add players. It won't be leeching players from your local game unless they didn't want to be there in the first place. So yeah. So sky is not falling, at least not yet. So that was when I let off of that because you were on Odyssey talking about how you play in virtual tabletops, and you posted this just around the same time, right?
Yeah.
All right. And then Rob Connolly, I know he saw you in the audience before, man. Bat in the attic here. Rob jumping into the fray. Where's a good referee when you need one? Rob has a different take on things. Rob always has a smart take on things. So often, sometimes different, always smart.
Don't give him an ego. Don't give him an ego.
Ryan Dancy, the brand manager at D&D during the 3.0 era, moved on since then, but posts his thoughts. Again, the link to the RPG site on various role-playing games. Paraphrasing here, but Rob is saying that the current focus of RPGs is wrong. This is Dancy was saying this, that there's too much wargaming, needs to be more of a collaborative game. The main issue that the wargaming audience of D&D has gone away, and along with other groups and RPGs needs to change to adapt to the new market. And Rob says bullshit. He misses the point. Rob doesn't say bullshit because he's a gentleman. I say bullshit. The key to a successful RPG campaign is a great referee. It's always been the role-playing game Achilles' heel. If a referee isn't there to do the job, the group will fall apart. And Rob been playing a game back then, 30 years. I guess that means up to 41 now. And so, yeah. So the only fundamental rule of RPGs is this: the player describes the action, and the referee will then proceed to inform the player and the group of the adults, or of the results. So Rob's thinking a different way. There are no adults. We're not adults at all. So Rob, he's still in the chat, man. I don't know if you're listening. He's probably pulling it up, saying, "What did I say? You're gonna hang me?"
I'm gonna have to respond to this. You might get a response to it later.
He might do a response later, Rob. I don't know. It's still, like I said, this is still timely shit. People are still talking about it, So it gives me a kick when kids today start talking about a topic as if they're the first fucking people ever talk about that topic before, God. So anyway, we mentioned BX Black Razor before, right? There's the BX Companion. Now, this is interesting. He goes, "Hey, I got into Petty Gods." This is something Tim Shorts always talks about. He loves. Petty Gods was a book, I guess, that Malazewski put together or something. A project. Wasn't it? Was it him or no? Who the hell did that?
All right. So Petty Gods is a project. Mal was involved in it, but he was not the one that was putting it together. But what happened was it became a bigger project than anybody expected it to be. And the person that was organizing it, and I can understand this completely because I went through this with Tenkar's Landing, got overwhelmed. And I believe Rich LeBlanc came in, and Rich saved the day, got it out. I believe you can still get copies on Lulu. I have 2 Petty Gods in there. You're going to see a lot of people from the OSR at that time submitted material. It's a really great book. You could find
Tim loves it. Tim Schwartz talks about it all the time. In fact, in the game that he's running with Greg, Greg made up this cleric, Greg Christopher, and he made this cleric of the god of Puce. And what the fuck is Puce? You say it's just the most boring, bland, nothing thing that there is in the universe. So Greg just made it up on the fly, I think on the second. And Tim just rolled with it. He's very different than me. I was like, that god does not exist. Tim rolls with it, of course. And he's all right, the god of Puce. So what is this thing? And it's all about silence and everything. He's like the god of librarians. Shh. That kind of thing. No frivolity and this and that. So Tim says, all right, that's cool. That would probably fit into like that Petty Gods book that he likes so much. And he made him the antithesis of the great imbiber, which, as you could understand, probably is the god of having a good fucking time and drinking.
There you go.
The opposite, right? I mean, who knows? So yeah, so that Tim loves the goddamn book, Petty Gods. I should get it now. I'm talking about it so much,
I believe the PDF is free.
Really?
Yeah. When you continue on, I will do a search.
All right. Yeah. Put the link in the chat there, man. Yeah, that's cool. All right. So next, going to BX Black Razor mentioned Malazewski. All right. So next on the list is Grognardia. All right. Grognardia, when he didn't get pompous, wrote some good shit. All right. I still don't agree with a lot of things he said about this age and that age. It's sort of self-reinforcing itself. But he says, he's talking about the next generation of gamers. I've written recently about my daughter and her attitudes toward tabletop role playing. I don't think I've said much about the topic in relation to my son. The only reason I thought of mentioning him today is because I spent part of last night putting away a dungeon he made. Blah blah blah. So he gets into this and he starts talking about like every guy who has had a kid who they thought I can't wait to play D&D with my kid. All right, we've all thought that, we've all wanted to do it. We've all wanted to share our experiences growing up with them and share some of that fun and make that thing that we loved a part of their life, right? Especially fathers and sons, I'm sure. And so Malazewski's talking about that same thing, He's like, but he gets into it. He says it's not as if the concept of role playing is alien. He's a little boy. And a lot of stuff he does involves taking on a different persona. But he basically says, I increasingly tend to view tabletop role playing as an adult hobby that some children and teenagers might enjoy. And he just gets into things about how they have different experiences growing up. And the things that led Malazewski to like role playing, his kid ain't experiencing basically. And so he may not get into it like Malazewski did, which is something that I found personally. Me, my brother, and I were hoping like hell all these 4 kids would get into D&D. We'd have a built-in group. We'd be playing every fucking weekend. No, they don't like it. So what are you going to do? They say they do. The girls said they like it, but they're not busting down the doors of roll of characters anytime soon. So,
It used to be free on Drive-Thru RPG. Now it is not there at the moment, so I am trying to find a link that has it because it should still be. I don't know what happened, but hey, if I can, Scribd has it, but Scribd is asking for you to pay a subscription fee. It used to be free.
Oh no shit!
Yeah.
Jesus. You couldn't get it in print, or how about Amazon? Maybe it's a print on demand or something. Who the hell owns the rights to it? Was it a?
It was a community project. So.
Oh, really? So it's basically, so the cost basically is
I don't know.
Interesting. I wonder how it disappeared or why. People are gonna be like looking for this thing that we talk so much about it. So I figure, hey, no talk about the old blog is complete without this dude.
All right, hold on a second.
Jeff's game blog. Rentz. Jeff Rentz. He's the god of the old school bloggers. He's one of the top 3 or 4, period. And his blog went back into the ancient days before there was an old school blogosphere. Let's scroll down here. 2004, motherfucker, 191 posts in 2004. He was doing this shit before we thought to do this stuff. I didn't start till 2009. I think you're about the same, right? This guy is like 6 years on us. Jesus, man. But he's talking about this is interesting too. I liked this one because it's short and simple, and it's like we were all doing back then, trying to figure like basic questions out that we didn't know. Yeah. He's like, where the fuck do scrolls come from? Basically, the whole idea of scrolls in D&D. Is there a literary precedent for the scroll as a single charge spell device? I always assumed it was a gygaxing extension of the basic logic of fantasy and magic, but it occurred to me earlier today that maybe somewhere lurking in the seedy underbelly of Appendix N, one could find a tale of daring do that actually uses enruned paper that self-erases upon activation. Any ideas? Throwing a question up. Don't fucking know. Quick and dirty. And then first answer, right? Welcome to Dungeon. I believe it originates in the Lords of Quarmal, along with the ability of thieves to unreliably activate them. And that's my thought too. That's one of the Fritz Lieber, or Leiber, I guess how you say it actually, is Fritz Leiber's Lankmar books. And I remember the scene. It was Gord he thought he got something. He was going to read it out loud and dominate the universe. And he fucked it up 15 ways from Sunday, and it got botched. And it led to a whole series of disasters there, which is good. It's just a nice, simple thing. He asks a question. People figure out the answer, and they understand. And again, what are you looking at over here? All right, you see the Samwise 7, Ramblings of a Flame Princess, Playing D&D with Porn Stars, all these adventures in
all
porn.
the names from back then.
Yeah, a lot of these guys.
And before Google Plus became a thing.
Yeah. This is where everything migrated to Google Plus. We would just reference the blog on Google Plus, and a lot of these discussions that were in the comments took place over there. Then they changed some bullshit on us, and then it just became a big pain in the ass, basically, But yeah, Jeff Rentz's game blog. You could spend an entire 2-week vacation reading his shit and be the better for it at the end. The guy has a lot of good ideas, a lot of good stuff. He ran a game. He DM'd the game for me. I was in one of 5 or 6 guys, and I died fucking halfway through it. It was a trapped room. That was it. But it was fun. It was creative. It was imaginative. He's very much into the random, and he's very much into the sort of the whimsical. Like, I remember him saying the one thing he loved the most about Lamentations of the Flame Princess was that weird first level summon spell that you could fucking summon things that destroy the known universe as it is. He liked that, and I couldn't stand it because I'm like, I bullshit. I spent a lot of time making this known universe. I'm not going to let you destroy one fucking spell.
God damn it!
Yeah, you still looking for it?
I know. Well, here's the deal.
All right,
it's not available on drive-through unless you've already acquired it previously, in which case it's in my library.
Oh,
so this is what I will do. If you all are listening to this, or you're listening to this on Anchor Letter, email me, tenkars.tavern@gmail.com. Tell me you're looking for Petty Gods. I'll send you the file.
Nice.
All right.
Free giveaway. Look at this. Spontaneous. Spontaneous giveaway.
It was free back in the day, but I don't know why it got pulled from drive-through. But
dude, send it to me if you could, man. I don't have it.
It's not gonna say Tenkar's Tavern on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got no watermarks. Email me, tenkars.tavern@gmail.com. Put Petty Gods in the subject, and I will email you back the file. It's only about 5 milligrams. 5 megabytes. All right, man.
5 milligrams. Are you channeling your copness? You're just it's 5 milligrams a kilo.
Oh, let's see. What? It's just a felony weight? No, it's no weight.
God, that's really good. So yeah, hey, dude, if you remember, send me a copy. I've always, every time Tim talked about it, I wanted to grab a copy. I just never did.
Again, Rich LeBlanc did a great job putting that together. Holy crap.
That's pretty cool, man.
He really did.
That's cool, yeah. So send him an email. You get a free thing. That's everybody's talking about here today. All right, next. Remember this guy?
It's right. It's 51.9 millibytes. You know what? Email me, and maybe I'll have to give you a link to download it.
All right. All right.
No,
yeah, you can put it up on
MeWe. I'm trying to put it up on MeWe. I don't know if it'll take a.
It might be too big for MeWe. Most of the emails, I think at 20, 30 meg. I got Yahoo, and it's like 20, 30 meg or something. That's about it. But all right, now we got Save versus Poison. Remember this one? This guy's been around forever too, man. He was 09 as well. 09 is kind of when we all started. It was about the year it all started getting going,
By the way, it uploaded on MeWe.
Nice. All right, good. Go to MeWe.
Go to MeWe. I'm Tenkar on MeWe. Hit me with the PM, and I will give you a copy of Petty Gods.
Nice. All right, so this is Save versus Poison, another great block from back then. And this is pretty standard for format. Plain, boring, nothing fancy. No offense there, Save versus Poison, but you pretty much got a standard blog. You didn't put nothing into anything here, extra. And look at the things on the right. BX Black Razor, What a Terrible Night to Have a Curse, Acrotic Wizardry, which I have an article coming from them too. You summon Gainer Xenophobia, because it's a fun topic. As Joe the Mizai once said, I don't know who the hell that is. There's some crazy people in this hobby. Frankly, I thought he was being quite diplomatic in his assessment. I've met my share of unhygienic gamers. I've met crazy motherfuckers who sit down at a convention table and immediately want to start talking about how much they love knives or how their next Deadlands character will be a guy like, but not exactly like, the Guyver. All right, so one of them showed me a video of him mutilating stuffed animals with a firearm. So yeah, he goes into all kinds of. I didn't read all this. One of them offered to translate what my cat was saying and change subject and conversation practically every 2.5 seconds. You got the idea. Seems as the last few years, for every interesting or intelligent gamer I meet, I have to wade through 5 knife tards and a guy with wet palms who stalks my wife by email. I get kind of xenophobic. This is excellent. This is why we love these fucking blogs, guys. I get kind of xenophobic about new gamers. I consider my current Sunday night group an enormous karmic payback. As you may recall, the group actually didn't start out very well for me. I was ready to bail on our douche boat, interesting, of a GM until we had La Revolution and booted his ass. Since then, the group has attracted some very fun gamers to play with. I look forward to playing with this crowd every Sunday. Shit, even the guy who makes generally problematic characters is just plain awesome to share table space with. Then, out of the blue, a new guy contacts our host by email and requests to join the group. My immediate response is to run silent, run deep, seal the borders, raise the drawbridge, no hablo inglés. Nice. But then he goes into, what about the other guys? We're all new at some point. What do we do? It makes me come off as a raging asshole. Maybe I am, but at the very least, a private group and inclusion is entirely in our discretion. But he's talking about the issue of, there's a lot of weirdos. Do you want to have them game with you? What? Do you have an obligation? You were the new weirdo once, So just comment on that.
I've always run my games when we've had the online groups, especially with the idea of, listen, you can invite anybody. Somebody has to vouch for somebody, right?
Yeah.
Whether maybe I'm vouching for somebody or
it's like the Freemasons. You got to know someone.
You have to know somebody, and you get like a 2-session trial. And no harm, no foul. If at the end of those 2 sessions, the rest of the group says, they drop the white ball and the black ball, and then you go, oh, sorry, man, you didn't make the vote. That's literally what you're in for. But usually we know by the end of the first session if somebody's a keeper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the douche nozzle or not. Douche boat, that's a new one. Douche nozzle, I've heard. Douche bag, obviously. But yeah. So it's, I do feel somewhat of an obligation that remember we were at the store and we were meeting Professor Dungeon Master and the other guys there and this and that dude came up to me and started asking me questions about D&D, right? And about all these things that I'm trying to answer the questions because there was a part of me that felt an obligation to help a new guy into the hobby, But does the sense of obligation help the new guy in the hobby extend to inviting lunatics? I don't know. I don't think so. We don't have to go that far. maybe only in public place. You don't tell your real name and you don't park in the same parking lot, right?
Listen, when I was gaming in a public game store a couple of years ago out in Long Island, we had a policy of, especially when we were gaming on an open table, and hey, if you had somebody walk up and wanted the game, you were we kind of obligated to give them like a 1-session try. Well, we gave a guy a 1-session try, and at the end, we all agreed that we were canceling our next session so we wouldn't have to see this guy. And
the group has disbanded. Nothing to do with you whatsoever.
Yeah. Every time, I can't do it. Oh, no.
Was it me? Something I said? No.
I'm
gonna do it. Your stench. They've been taking a shower in 3 months. Not at all.
With light, you can't have a halfling with wings.
God.
With a named sword. What are you talking about? No.
Name sword. Take a magic marker, write somebody's name on your sword. That's the only name sword you're ever gonna get in my game, asshole.
There you go.
That's it. That's all you're getting. God. So anyway, that's Save versus Poison. Again, a lot of stuff, people are still talking about it today. All right. Next, remember this guy? This guy has a dude who's updated his webpage. This guy still posts. All right. Paladin and Citadel, Aaron Steele, which I always thought that was the best porn name in the world. Aaron E. Steele.
Aaron E.
Right?
Steele.
I mean, that's just, come on.
I've got 12 inches of steel for you.
I know, right? So
it's a penetrating blow, my dad.
He's still doing it though, man. He's still posting shit. Let me see. I think he posted something. Let me pull something up here real quick. I think he posted, November 22nd, 2020. So he's still active somewhat, I see him still doing shit. So yeah. All right. So he's talking about magical swords in OD&D. another aspect of what we were doing back then, right? We were going back to the old rules and trying to figure shit out, right? We were going back and trying to understand what the guy actually mean by this. Let's get to the roots of whatever he said here, right? And so he's talking about the chainmail rules and the OD&D's original default rules. And this is an interesting quote, I thought, actually. Still thinking about it today. Magic swords, because these weapons are almost entities in themselves, they accrue real advantage to the figure so armed. Fucking weird writer. In normal combat, they merely add an extra die. It is in fantastic combat that magical swords are most potent. Besides allowing elves to combat certain fantastic creatures, they give a +1 to the dice score when employing the fantasy combat table, and magic swords shed a light of their own over a circle 12 inches diameter, 6 inches radius, which dispels darkness, but does not equal full light. Excalibur and other super swords would give a +2 or 3 exclamation point, right? Almost entities in themselves. You're throwing away magic swords around today like they're nothing. +1's here, +1's there, right? He's making them like they're godlike here. And they merely adding an extra die. By the way, this is something that Paladin and Citadel, Mr. Steele himself, gets into. Merely adding an extra die. Mentioning the addition of an extra die, Gygax refers, of course, to the use of D6s in chainmail normal mass combat rules to determine the chance of wounding one's opponent, right? So when you're talking about an extra die, that's you're essentially saying double damage because it's D6 damage. Now you're doubling the damage. Merely an extra die is nothing that's double fucking damage, man. And another way, +1 sword is actually a +3 sword if you want to convert the odds of wounding over to the alternative D20 combat system, right? So it's like, in addition to an extra die in normal combat, is problematic and powerful when you consider its application in chainmail's man-on-man combat rules, which is where all this shit came from. And just look at the detailed discussion he throws in there, right? And everybody jumping in. Jovial Priest again. This Anonymous skewed. He was posting a lot, I've noticed. Anonymous, he was posting a lot of things all over the place. When did you lock down Anonymous comments in your blog?
I got not actually probably maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Did you really? You waited that long?
I waited that long, and then some people actually have Anonymous as their fucking name.
Really? Assholes.
Pop up as
The fuck. Yeah, you used to have a Gmail account and have a name, and most of us had a blog, and so we knew who we were. But when you're letting comments by anybody in there, just anonymous anybody, it could be any douchebag just spamming the shit out of you, right? And so I never went the route of approving comments, but I did ban people who were just anonymous. I wanted somebody who's actually going to put their name to something, right? So that was my approach back then. Now, do you remember Hill Canton's, Eric?
Oh, yes.
All right, here's his blog. Now he goes back. How far? 09. Again, another 09 guy. And look at all the posts he had. And this is just, he had 77 in 2010, 19 of them in December. Fafard and the Gray Mauser, holiday gifts. We always talk about our holiday gifts. What do we want for Christmas? It's like a bunch of little kids, right? But this post was about session reports. Are they worth the hoot? And he just basically, he's going into it. It's that people post, we all did, right? You post, here's what happened in my game last night. And does anyone give a fuck? Yeah. Does anybody care? Does it matter? Unless you're telling a funny story, which a lot of people have a hard time doing in writing. You need to actually speak it.
A lot of people have a hard time speaking a funny story. Let's be
honest. That's true too. It's even harder. Yeah. So he's just asking the question again. Is it worth it? Does anybody read it? How come it's a bunch of navel gazing, and how come our reportage comes up so painfully short? Do you enjoy the session reports? Now, do you remember Obsidian Portal back then?
Yes, I was a subscriber.
Yeah, me too. I went back over the years here and there. It's a nice platform for keeping track of a game, and you could register your game. You could have open and closed games. People join in, and it provided opportunities. You had within that game, Joe's D&D game, you could have bulletin board system. You would have like session report areas. You'd have character pictures, maps, drawings, things like that. It's a real nice thing actually. If you want to get into that. I wish they would have integrated with a thing like Roll20. That would have been nice. If they could, that's the perfect combination. Everything is right there for you, But Roll20 should take some of the features of Obsidian Portal, I think. But one of the good things about that, though, was you had a lot of people writing up post-game reports. I would give XP. If you do a post-game report, you get 50 XP, which I had to write it in character, had to be at least a page long
No, I would
in
just
your character's words. So people would do it because, 50 XP, 100 XP as they went up higher, It was just fun. And it was fun to me to read it because I could get a gauge on
yes,
what
that's
they
why
were
I did it.
liking,
And to help me for my improving. If I improv the character, an NPC, oh, what the hell was their name? Oh, all
that
right.
too.
There we go. It's in their reports. I'm giving them a bonus of 10% expo. So I was usually always everybody was giving me a report, and they had to put it up on their blog.
Yeah, definitely. Because that
Right.
was advertisement for your blog, right?
Yeah.
So if they put up their game post on I played Joe Lawyer's game. It was fun. We did this, blah, blah, blah. And they use a link to the game, link to your blog, and you get a little more traffic, right? Because there was always a thing where how many followers do you have? Because there was a way you could register through Blogger, which is trying to disavowed now by Google, I guess. But you could register through Blogger as a follower on a certain blog, and people would keep track within the Google blogger system of how many followers do you have. And it was kind of cool. I got several hundred, but I never got up to the stellar numbers that you probably got. How many you have? Is that a thing anymore? Do you keep track of that?
It's still a thing, but I actually don't even think I don't even think I have a link for people to do that. My traffic honestly comes from Facebook and MeWe.
Really?
So, yeah.
What's the split, Facebook to MeWe?
Oh, it's about 80-20.
Wow. Okay. I guess WoW is a big thing, but I guess then again, MeWe, what the hell is it? It's not that big, right? And people jumped to it once Google Plus crashed, but it was just a place to jump to. People are still doing Facebook, I guess, is their main thing.
The different environments, and yes, the OSR was very big on Google Plus. It kind of splintered prior to Google Plus going. What's the phrase? Tits up. So when Google Plus had its life support pulled from it, people migrated to MeWe, and I'll give MeWe credit.
Yeah.
They actually reached out to the community and
they did.
were like, "What are you looking for?" I don't know if they actually did what people were asking for, but
No.
at least they asked.
They did ask. They had an interview. Matt Finch did an interview with them because they're like, "Who the fuck are these people?" And I guess they reached out to Matt Finch and figured it out or whatever. And they did, I think, a live interview on YouTube or something about it. Like, who are you? What do you want? What are you looking for? And this and that. And he told them, where we're coming for, what we did, what we used it on, and this and that. I don't know what the problem MeWe is though. They never upgrade their shit really. I don't know how they're making money now. They're still in business.
They don't do advertisements and they want paid subscriptions. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to pay for it because it isn't that useful.
No.
And it could be better, I guess. But Facebook is a necessary evil.
Yeah, I know.
But
I waited. I have like a fake account. I just subscribed to a couple D&D groups there, an OSR one, I think a Tavern one, and a few things. I think Tim Shorts runs an excellent zine.
Oh God, yeah.
Over there, you guys got to get into that because even if you don't produce zines, you're going to get the leads on a ton of good zines in there.
Yep.
And so hop into that and get they're really good shit over there. So, and I like the pictures, the memes, this and that. I get it goes back to the attention span and how much time do you have during the day to read in depth, right? It's not a discussion place anymore, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So this is session reports. That's my take on session reports. I like them. It gave me a clue as to what my players were into and what they weren't into. That's really it, I think. What did they enjoy about it, really?
Right. What are they highlighting?
Yeah, because that'll push more of that the next game. It gives me a clue. And then, ta-da! D&D with porn stars. Yes, I went there. All right. I actually remember when this post came out. Zach put this out. Why Caverns of Thracia is the best published dungeon and shouldn't be. Now, I had it somewhere like on a shelf, didn't read it because it was written on like newspaper, right? Yeah. So when this blog post came out, I remember it. I'm like, that's interesting. And I went back and read it. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And then funny enough, later on, Tavis Allison actually went and ran it in New York City at that place. It was like this huge buffet food place. And you go upstairs and we had like a 12-foot table upstairs on the third floor or something. And you play right in the heart of Manhattan and we just sit there and drink and play and eat. And it spent the whole day. It was a good time. And so he's talking about Jay Quay's Caverns of Thracia. The link is also to the D20 update, but I read the 1979 original. And he says it's the best large dungeon module I've ever seen. And it's sad because it isn't that great. I got to disagree in the sense that it isn't great because it was the greatest there was at the time, I would say.
Right.
It was a very good module. Nobody else was doing what Jackways was doing. Janelle, right? Janelle, yeah. So
yes.
yeah, and so here's what. Whenever I design a large dungeon, whoever I was in a dungeon designed by somebody else, the default assumptions are there's a wide variety of monsters. It's really big. The design is non-linear, so you can end up doing the dungeon in a different number of ways, and there are traps. There's weird, non-standard tricks, the things that are weird, but they have a reason they're there. If all else fails, it's some kind of test, and even if that fails, it may be designed by an insane wizard. True, right? That's every Gygax thing ever. There are enough traps that PCs look at every single thing in the dungeon sideways. They're for every detail, even if harmless, is potentially important. The cultures who built it aren't the ones who live in it now. There's more than one intelligent faction living in it. The whole dungeon functions together. Dungeon features of the dungeon can be used against the dungeon inhabitants by clever, dangerous features of the dungeon can be used against the dungeon inhabitants by clever PCs. Tricks and traps alternate with monster fights, but more than that, they're integrated with monster fights so they can work together. Now, these are the defaults. It's possible to build a good dungeon with one of these switches turned off, but it's like tying your hands. And so he gets into the whole thing with Jaquay's dungeon. It's an excellent dungeon, which has all this stuff. And not a lot of TSR shit had that stuff back then.
Right.
But Jaquay's did. It was, and I read back looking through it with this filter, which I believe the Alexandrian also talked about Jaquaying the dungeon. The Alexandrian is a very good blog from back then, and it's a very intellectual blog. The guy was really fucking smart. Assume it was a guy. Thinking it was a guy, but yeah, and he was a smart motherfucker, and he would do these in-depth things talking about Jaquaying the dungeon. He had a whole set of characteristics about what makes a good Jaquay style dungeon, and it's really interesting. If you go back into that, you'll find it. And so he just goes into Zach. I was very long, very wordy, but smart, and get into a lot of shit here. So let's see. So that's pretty much what he did. Now, if we're gonna hit Zach, we got to, of course, hit Raji.
Oh, of course.
So again, Raji in Turbo Raji style content ratings on RPGs. I got back more roughs and finished pieces today. Some of the feature read sure to offend artwork pieces, and I'm commissioning a couple more last fill-in pieces now that I've done some more layout adjustments. And this is talking about his Grindhouse, I believe, at this point. And he's talking about some of the stuff. You remember the Medusa with the dude turned to stone when he was already.
I called it like D&D porn. Actually, one of my old gaming group, when I showed them the rules, was like, "Holy shit, this is like D&D porn." So the male appendage was.
Yes, he did. He did. It was fantastic. I love that shit. We're here. I'll show you this. I'll show you the. You got it. I could click on it here. There it is. So he got turned to stone while he was having some fun with the Medusa, and you see the pose he's in. If you want to show it,
take it off. Take it off.
All right. Then we got, this is a good one. The Other Side blog, Tim Brannon. He's still doing shit too. Remember him?
Yes.
Yeah, this guy's still doing it.
And he has his own community on MeWe, folks. If you want to support his community, he has one on MeWe. The Other Side. So.
Yep, and he's talking about his second edition, the next wave of the OSR. And basically, he goes into how the OSR was all the older editions and this and that, and how he started playing second edition again. It's the game I ran the most, but hardly ever played. Very much a DM in that game, and that's what I was too. I was running second edition a lot. My brother really liked it. I didn't like it. It wasn't. It wussified it too much. It nerfed wizards and their fireballs, which was the biggest affront to me ever. Did you run second a lot? I think that was your main game for a while, right?
It was my main game for years. I ran second edition right through the the skills and powers books, the black
yeah. Called that 2.5, right? All those
yeah. And then I went into the police academy and gaming ended. Well, at the end of the academy, gaming ended. Yeah.
Yep.
And then third edition came out, and it was all downhill since then.
Basically, not only downhill. When fourth edition came out, it fell into a bottomless pit we barely climbed out of again. Yeah. You're just talking about second edition here. He's wondering if it was going to be a thing. It's a retro enough, but it's mechanically so close to first edition. You could play a second edition game. He comes down to the conclusion that basically it's just a matter of time before someone does a full on second edition clone which I thought was interesting because nobody ever really did. They didn't do a clone,
No.
but two people came out with something that I consider to be what second edition might have, could have, should have, would have been.
Okay.
One is Jeff Talanian, who came out with Ash, Astonishing
Right.
Swords and a Source of Hyperborea, which is now just called Hyperborea. Third edition coming out soon. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. And the other guy who did it was, let's scroll down here.
Is it does he
Boom.
have your first name?
Boom. Yep. Joe Block, Greyhawk Ragnard, who actually just commented down here, if you see. Okay. Oh, he says, and just an FYI, Adventures Dark and Deep Open play test has begun. The funniest thing, dude, is I'm reading this. I look to the right 35 degrees and I see all the books for Adventures Dark and Deep on my shelf. And here he is talking about it. The Adventures Dark and Deep Open playtest has begun. If you go to the ADD forums, which Tim linked near the bottom of his post, you'll find the playtest version of the player's manual. Thanks for the mention. And he's also says, it's funny you mentioned proficiency rules. ADD skill system works a lot like what you're talking about, if I'm reading you correctly. So, yeah, there it is. Just a little history there, you know. And look who else is here. We got Christian. We got Chicago Wiz, right? Christian, he's fucking awesome. I got something coming up with him later. And Mike Shorten, right? Chicago Wiz.
I actually met him a couple of years ago at a game hall.
Yeah. He was doing the whole. He was really heavy into it. And then Targa came up, which was, I don't know what the fuck it stood for. I didn't agree with the initials or an acronym, whatever hell it stood for. But it was basically, this whole motto is if we want people to play us our games, we got to put gamers' asses in seats and run them for them. And so to that end, I actually got involved a little bit and ran stuff down a Complete Strategist during Dave Arneson's birthday celebration at Tavis put together. I ran Osric down there just to put asses in seats, you know.
There you go.
And I passed out Targa flyers to people who were there and this and that. It was okay. It was a good time, you know. So yeah, so here's that's Chicago is talking there. All right, so since we touched upon it, boom, Greyhawk Ragnard, his website, greyhawkragnard.com. He did what you did. Like I think before he was greyhawkragnard.blogspot.com, just like you would Tenkar Stavern. He went the same way you did, you know, the greyhawkragnard.com. And so, you know, what he posted about here is storyline versus sandbox. And we're still having this discussion, right?
Oh yeah, we always will.
Yeah, it's never going to end. When it first emerged as a hobby, most games are what are now described as sandbox-style games. That's Dungeon Master created the campaign milieu as a sandbox in which the players could romp at their heart's content. Sandbox allows for a maximum of player freedom. They decide what that today they go on the trek to the other side of the planet, off they go. Mega dungeons are a tentpole feature, and funny thing is, Joe also made this big-ass mega dungeon with 1 million levels. He goes into a plot-driven campaign focused on a particular storyline. Often the story is an elaborate affair constructed by the game master, and the player is expected to follow the various clues, visit the detailed locales, and eventually the players experience the triumph of fulfilling a quest. All right, and this is probably, I think, Pathfinder paths were out back then, right? Weren't they starting up all those adventure paths?
So. Yeah,
and that was the first. Other than Dragonlance, they were the first people to really capitalize on that whole thing, you know. So, and he goes into a good argument here. So sometimes people wrongly assume a sandbox type of campaign has no plot. In fact, it will often have many plots going on at the same time, and that's how I run them. There's 1 million things going on at once in my games, and you're running along their course. And with a sandbox game, sandbox players are free to pick up or ignore various plots as they uncover or see fit. In the plot-driven game, there's no game if the players decide to take a course that radically deviates from the plot the game master has devised. And he goes into the whole caveat. Nothing either way is good or bad, but they have their pitfalls. All right, so boom, there it is. Scott, no, he is the douche again. Scott, that's the, yeah. So Joe responds to him, and yeah, Hamlet, where the fuck Hamlet was. It's funny, you can see these names, and like I was always just on this with EN World and all the other boards. I would comment without caring who said it. I didn't look at the person that much, even though I noticed some of the names now. You know, I didn't know that Pirate Cat said or Spanish Cat was saying these different things that I was responding to. I was responding to the argument, not the person. So I never really got personal with me that often. Right. You know, but a lot of people, they you know, oh, him, I got to argue against him. And that's I got
a personal beef with.
Yeah. Sometimes I would get into a fight. Some people would pick a fight with me, especially in the RPG side. And I'm like, dude, who are you? Why are you so fucking hostile? Did I ever I think my line back then was, did I piss in your cornflakes at some point and didn't know it? You know, I mean, who the hell are you? And sometimes it was that case. They would point out where I was like arguing, being a dick. They thought to them, I was just arguing the point. I wasn't being a dick to you. I don't remember it was even you. You know, so yeah. But it was interesting. One of the funny things, though, like I said, I saw was on another December post of yours in this 2010. You were asking about where do people hang out? Where's all the OSR boards? You know, was there a central place where people go? And people are throwing out the various things, ODD 7.4 and Dragon's Foot and this and that, you know. But yeah, that was the two main things. And I think that the boards were for quick comments and the blogs were for more in-depth discussions.
I think you were right. And before I was blogging, I was hanging out on the Castles and Crusades boards. I mean, that's okay. That was my place to have any kind of gaming discussion.
Okay.
So when I started blogging, and I was like, oh, this is a whole different experience. From just reading blogs, it became a real conversation.
Yeah. I started blogging because I would write long posts on EN World, and people would say, "Dude, that's not a board post, it's a blog post." I'm like, "What the fuck's the difference?" I didn't know what the hell blog was, you know, something the kids today were doing. So I like, what the fuck? And then EN World had a little blog section, so I started posting there. I'm like, well, nobody's reading this. Excuse me, I'll make up my own fucking blog. And I discovered this, and that's what I went there, you know. Yeah, that was it. That was the whole evolution of me to blogs. Basically, it was EN World. Same thing was the evolution to RPG now. Hey, you said you might get some EN World people here, right? Because you posted.
I posted links to this channel earlier when I broke the news that TSR had withdrawn their legal action because it was a huge thread. It was like 31 pages on NWorld.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
TSR, and I mean, not for nothing. No matter how it goes, they got the attention that they wanted.
Yeah. For whatever purpose there was, they got the attention they wanted. And David Thompson, love Thracia. Yeah, it's good. And I gotta say, Tavis ran us through. It was a fun game, you know. It was a really fun game.
I think I have the reprint that was done. I don't have the original.
Yeah. Let's see here. What's the next one? Oh, this is interesting. Knockspell. I don't remember this being a thing. Knockspell abandoning the OGL and going over to AD&D. Remember this? You wrote for Knockspell, didn't you?
I wrote I had a published article in the last issue of Knockspell.
So you're responsible for its doom. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, Knoxville's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And at my really small bachelor party with an intimate number of friends of a half dozen, I gave out copies of the Knoxspell that I was in.
Nice, man.
So everybody was either a gamer or a lapse gamer. So it was cool.
Is Knoxspell still available? I mean, can you get it off of Lulu or somewhere?
If it's anywhere, it's on Lulu. I'm not 100% sure. Knoxspell and Fight On were the two back then, and I don't believe Fight On is still publishing either. But they were good. They were great resources.
Yeah, they were.
They were a lot of fun to read. And you know what? Were they internally consistent? No. Were they highly professional? No. Were they good? Yes.
They're better than zines. You know?
Yeah, they were full size.
Yeah, they were.
You know, so.
You know what's a fantastic magazine that's very specifically written for one guy's system and world is The Land of Nod. Ever seen that? Remember that one? Is it John Stater? John Slater,
but he also did a lot of stuff for Swords and Wizardry.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Actually, he wrote the other Bard class that was in. I wrote one Bard class. He wrote one Bard class.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
there's a Knoxspell of Bards there.
Yeah, I know you fucking hate Bards. I don't want to hear it.
I do. I don't get them.
I'm sure your brother hates them too.
He likes them. He let him in the game.
All right. I stand the fucking could go screw. But in that case, I want to drink.
Speaking of drinks, I know we couldn't get together because I had the funeral, but I'm off a week between Christmas and New Year's, man. If we want to, depending on how the life is COVID wise, then if you want to get together,
sure.
I got the whole week, so
I've got my booster shot, and I could bring a booster seat, so I'll be okay.
Yeah, I got my booster about a month ago, so yeah. We'll see how it goes. We'll see where the world is then, right? Well, not to dive too deep into that, but interesting thing here. Knoxspell. This is Matt Finch did something.
Yep.
Knoxspell magazine. They were switching to non-OGL format, refocusing toward AD&D rather than OD&D. Issue 5 will be a transition. Blah blah blah. And the above announcement by Mythmere, which is Matt Finch's name on various things. I think Dragonfoot's and Dragonfoot and this and that. Yeah. So he's talking about it, and he says the reason for the shift is that Fight On is already doing a great job on OD&D. Not exactly how I would do it. Witness different editorial styles and magazines, but still excellent. So he's talking about, what's he want to do. And Matt,
Yeah. I think that's around the time Swords and Wizardry started out as an OD&D clone.
Yeah.
Or OD&D plus, I guess, the initial Greyhawk supplement.
Yes,
and,
that was it.
And then they put out, I guess, White Box. And White Box was just OD&D.
Pure OD&D, yeah.
And then Matt put out Swords and Wizardry Complete. And that was basically OD&D, but it was playing like AD&D. You had all the optional classes that got introduced with AD&D.
Yep.
And to me, it played pretty much like we played AD&D 1E.
Pretty much.
Without, weapon speed and the other shit. So
yeah, the shit nobody used anyway.
Yeah.
The Swords of Wizardry Complete is pretty much like the game we used to play of AD&D, that weird combination of Beck, me, and AD&D that we all played. That's what Swords of Wizardry Complete is pretty much. So now what was interesting is that Chicago he says, hat tip, thanks to Chicago for bringing this news to my attention in this post. Boom, that's what we were doing, right? We were just throwing stuff out there, and then update. Seems that Mythmere reconsidered abandoning the OGL for Knoxspell. Based on the feedback from the thread, I'm going to keep Knoxspell as an OGL publication. Oops, I guess he got too much shit from a lot of people. So,
well, here's the issue. If you take away the OGL, which was just safe harbor, and we didn't have, aside from Stars Without Number, we didn't have anybody who was retro-cloning the older system and wasn't using the OGL.
Yeah.
If you got to rewrite so much, if you're going to do it without using the OGL, it was a safe harbor, and I think that it was a great tool. Still is a great tool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, Courtney Campbell says, I play D&D. I play, not just play it. I play D&D with Chicago is bi-weekly. That's awesome, man. He's one of the guys I tried to get into every game of all the bloggers I admired and all the guys who I thought were really cool or interesting, men, women, anybody. I would try to get into the game at least once, usually just to play under there because I wanted to see how they were as a DM. And he was one of the ones I never got to play him because he got burnt out on the whole bullshit with Targa and all that stuff. So, Courtney, how is he as a DM? So I think it'd be kind of fun because I remember he said something to the effect of, he's a biker, and he says, I know you as a person if I drink with you or fight you or something like that. I remember reading something like he wrote one like, Jesus Christ, this guy's a Hell's Angels or what? Yeah. How is he to play with there? If you're still there, Courtney, let me know, man. I think it'd be a fun DM to play under, Yeah. So speaking of, since we talked about Chicago Wiz there, here we go. This is his old blog. Now he has a new blog. chgowiz-games.blogspot.com. This is an old blog. I think he stopped running this blog in like 11, 12, 13, whatever the hell shit's at the bed. But he's talking about his wife, Princess Wife. I remember that name. I forgot about that until I read this again, man. So I always talk about the game with Princess Wife. And he's fallen in love with his old game. And he's going through his old game notes, coming up with recaps. And this is funny he mentions because I found an old document on my computer that I had written a couple of years ago, which was an outline of things that I wanted to do with this game I'm running with my brother on Saturdays. And I had these ideas and I wrote them all down. It was like stream of consciousness shit. And later on, these ideas found their way into various bits and pieces of the game. But I thought I forgot I lost the document. I just named it something stupid, so I can never find it again is what happened. And so what he's talking about here is he's writing this out, find myself remembering lots of ideas and memories and formed plans, and he found some stuff, and he's like, "This is cool," and I like that. You're going back in your own, like you're entering your brain of a couple years ago to see how you were and what you were thinking. It's kind of neat. It's kind of neat, man. And that's kind of what the blogs are, really. You're tapping a brain to somebody at the time, see what's going on. What's that?
They're snapshots.
That's it. Snapshot of time, in somebody's head, somebody's headspace, and what people were doing and talking about. So it's all still out there. That's the great thing about this. It's all still out there, And so next one. Mine.
There you go.
There you go. So I figured I'd save not the best for last, certainly. But this post was back on December 30th, 2010. My main goal, my brother's going to laugh when he hears this because he knows it's true. My main goal for my AD&D Magic user was to build this 500-foot tower of epic phallic symbol so all would know his power. All the campaigns centered on looting gold and magic for the purpose of gaining power in the campaign world. Adventure and exploration were what you did to gain money and magic in your quest for world domination and reputation. It was a game of ambition. It wasn't about the combat. You fought only when you had to. Fighting was not balanced and all wussified with an expectation of success based on your uber build. There was actually a more than decent chance you would die back then. Why attempt it? This is the way I still play today. That sort of mindset is frowned upon in societies these days. The political correctness of the 90s did a lot to kill off a generation of gamers who may otherwise have appreciated such a style of gaming. I remember in 1977, 1976, second grade. I remember this. After we won in gym class in second grade, we got to sing that Queen song, "We Are the Champions." We didn't know the whole song, but it just had good lyrics, as we could tell the other side that they were losers. So nice. No time for losers. We taunted them, Now everybody gets a trophy for showing up. Geez, I was saying this shit in 2010. Fucking prescience. I'm telling you, man. You're just a winner for having a fogged mirror under your nose. And yeah. So Christian jumps in. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this lately. I think that a decade of 3X and 4E instilled in myself and my players that all fights are winnable because that's how the game was written. What I found as a result is that if PCs started to take a beating, some of them would get very upset, perceiving the encounter to be unfair or that I'm doing it wrong. If I ever play D&D again, it will be with an older edition and keep things refreshingly brutal and with less certain outcomes. Yeah, that's it. And so I got into a fight here. Look at this. This is a nice little fight wheel spat. This dude named Anarchist. Okay, whatever. Pompous name. Like a lot of people, he says, you seem to be using the phrase political correctness to mean something from now that I'm against. I said, Anarchist. Just to finish your definition, I would say something from now that I'm against because it used to be different and I liked it that way. And it only changed because of bullshit reasons having nothing to do with its own merits, but with catering to the pansy-ass sensibilities of a vocal minority. There, that's better.
That's very apropos.
It's, again, 11 years ahead of my time. God, 11 years ahead. Yeah, so there you go. That was me back then. And because we mentioned him a couple times, this is Christian Walker's blog. He had the Leviatar, zine back then, Destination Unknown. Now, Christian,
I believe he had an Iron Rations zine at one point.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah,
that's awesome. Fucking great, man. We didn't name this channel after him, the show after him, but with that in mind, I'm now saying I did. But Christian has a different format. It's Steam Blogger, Blogspot, blah, 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 right? But Christian does not have the format where you could scroll down and go to the dates. So I couldn't find a 2010 thing, because I would have had like older posts, like 19 years, right? So I couldn't find it. So it doesn't matter because all of Christian's shit is worth reading. So if you just go to Christian's blog, Destination Unknown, read his stuff, great blog, you will not go wrong. And it's just fun, just fantastic. And you can dig back and find something useful in every post. He's just an interesting, smart dude. All right. And I figured we started with Tim Shore, so we're going to end with Matt Jackson. So Matt Jackson's blog, right? Last time he posted here still, he found his old rule books, his old red box. So let's see what Matt Jackson was posting back in 2010. Oh, his blog isn't that old. It didn't go back to 2010. It went back to 2014. June 2014.
Oh,
that's when the old school was already over fucking Google Plus, wasn't it? I mean, it was kind of the blog scene was done by then, wasn't it? I mean, there was not much going on in 2014. That wasn't, it was primarily on Google Plus. See, Matt was just a latecomer to the whole scene.
Well, he needed a place to show his map, so
That's true. He just, if you look at it, if you take this little MJ off of that map there and pull it away, you'd see Dyson Logos, his name right under it. That's the thing, So Yeah, well, Joe got into argument. Yeah, Tim, I was kind of hangry, angry. Yeah, both
See,
probably.
you miss Courtney on your blog list.
Being
Courtney will
left
post.
out. Courtney, what's your blog, man? Give me the link. Put it up here. We'll find something. Damn it, you were around back then, I believe. I pulled up. I think I pulled up 20 blogs. I thought that was a nice hot sweet spot. So yeah. So Courtney, throw up your blog link, man. We'll pull it up and we'll find something from 2010 and we'll fucking live stream this shit right now. Yeah, Matt was late to the game. He was. I guess he's not OG, really. I mean, Tim was late to the show, but Tim Gothridge Manor, Tim was an OG blogger. Matt was just late to the whole blogging scene. He's not OG like the rest of us, I guess. Courtney Campbell, your hack and slash. Fuck, I saw yours too, and I'm like, I remember that too. I'm gonna go back. All right. Let's see, hack and slash. Give me the link, man. You have the link for it?
He can't put up a link.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Shit. Throw it up there. Where the hell is it? All right. So hack and slash. We know his blog there. Hop on hack and slash. Let me see. Let me stop. Let me boom, stop sharing. Put me back here. Let me find this thing. So it's nice. We'll find hack and slash. Oh, I can't even type. This is why I don't want to type in private here. Hack and slash blog. All right. I'm gonna lie. Hack and slash blogger. There he is. All right. Hope you have the thing where we could scroll down and find your old posts. I don't see them so far. And it's not there. All right. Courtney, it's on you. Find an old post from 2010 and give us the link, man.
He can't get you a link because he can't put it into the chat.
Ah, shit. Yeah. He has one of those blogs that if you go back, you can't see, like, there's no drop down of all those years. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, Courtney, you might have posted it in chat, but it's not going to show up.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. I learned that by trying to post links in somebody else's, and it was like, hey, they're blocking me. No, they're not blocking me. YouTube says you can't.
Oh, it doesn't let you put a link in the chat because it's spam.
Yeah.
No shit. Okay.
Just Google Joe. It's not porn, but I bet you can find it. He found the blog, but he just can't get back to a date 11 years ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. Oh, well, what are you going to do? That was our little memory lane thing with the blog there, guys. So hope you enjoyed it. It's a little different, we tried something new here.
Well, here, since Courtney's in the chat, I'm going to just bring something up. Next Friday, Glenn Hellstrom and I, Old Man Grognard, have a special guest. And Courtney can supply any links he wants because he's our special guest next week.
Oh, nice. Very cool, man.
He just added the history feature, so refresh the page. You might be able to find it.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Let's see. I'll go find one he was on here. I can't type. This is what happens. Smoke a little, drink a little, your fingers suck.
That's why I did my drinking over lunchtime. Late lunch.
Did you? That's economical and efficient, man.
Oh, yeah. No. Hey, our local pub has a lunch special. Sandwich, soup, and fries, but I substitute a salad.
Nice.
For $4. So it was very nice.
All right, let me find one of Courtney's. I don't see it, dude. Where is it? Where's this history thing? Oh, man.
All right, Courtney.
I don't see it.
Don't worry, Courtney. We'll be showing you off next week.
Yes, absolutely.
And then Courtney will have access to the screen share, and he can screen share.
Directory hack and slash biography. Well, you read the biography of Courtney.
Oh, because it's on the very, very bottom.
Courtney is 3 feet long and covered in fur. He was born before the internet in the age of Generation X and grew up reading pulp fantasy magazines like Asimov and Analog and playing Dungeons and Dragons all over the Ozarks. He attended many schools and colleges and has a Bachelor of Arts in Art from the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. Beset by gratitude for the support given to assist the journey to holding a degree, Courtney served his country, by joining the Marines pre 9/11 and then spending 20 years working in mental health and substance abuse counseling. All right, so Courtney, a little bio here. Looks like he's still playing D&D. He has a run for a local office as a Green Party candidate. Equal rights for all human beings. Amen. Yeah, you go. Oh, there it is. It showed up finally. All right, just had to wait. Fuck, Courtney, you started in 2011.
You
All
missed the
right.
cutoff, but you're not the
That's
rookie
it.
that Matt is.
You're not, yeah, you're still OG. You're 2011, but
Yeah.
yeah. So let's see what Courtney's oldest. Oh, okay. Here it is. So Courtney's oldest post. All right. Let's see. I'll share this up here. Share screen. There we go. The oldest posts on
Hold on.
tricks, empty rooms, and basic trap design. I can't figure out why I did this. Inside its 30 pages, you'll find a way to randomly determine 105 empty room types, difference between a room and a chamber, ways in which rooms may be interesting, 100 sample tricks. What is this? So you published something here. Drive through RPG. No shit. All right, let's click on the link. Is this still out there? Look at that. You can fucking buy it. Hack and Slash Publishing. Tricks, empty rooms, and basic trap design. Probably his first thing he may have ever published. There it is. For only $3.59 suggested retail price, but it is pay what you want, guys. So there you go. So you got your blog advertised and your tricks, empty rooms, and basic trap design. I'm curious, Courtney, when you get it with Eric next week. Let him know if you sold this shit, man. if we sparked some extra sales for this old thing for you.
It'd be fun to find out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
So, by the way, if anybody heard like bings and dings going on in the background from my end, I've been getting PMs from gamers and gamer lawyers about the update from earlier today. So, after I get off this live stream, I'll be answering a lot of questions. So
that's interesting. You do have a lot of lawyer friends. I'm a half-ass lawyer. I don't know shit, but yeah, you do have a lot of real lawyers out there who are giving you input and advice on this thing. I just don't see how he has a legit case that's going to make it all the way through. It seems like one of those pay you off and go away cases.
Well, yeah. Well, here I can quote a lawyer without quoting the lawyer. How about that? What a bunch of fucking dopes.
That's what he said.
And I am wondering if they thought about jurisdiction at all. And I brought that up, and I'm not a lawyer, but again, having talked to lawyers, I was like, jurisdiction is kind of like an issue here, and I understand let's do this on the cheap. Let's file where my lawyers are, but that's not really how the law works. So, again, I don't know. It could be the court just went, hey, you filed in the wrong jurisdiction. You might want to withdraw this and file in the right jurisdiction. And it was kind of like, oh, all right. I guess we'll leave before we spend too much money on this.
Yeah. And it costs them money to file, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hundreds of dollars probably to file this case. They just pissed it away.
Sure.
Your hard-earned money, people giving $5 and $10 to this fucking place. You just gave money to somebody who, if they filed in the wrong place accidentally, you just pissed away hundreds of dollars, maybe. I don't know. So, yeah, Matt, Courtney, you're a full-time RPG writer. That's awesome, man. I didn't know that. And Tim is saying this should be on every DM's go-to binder. I guess you saw my Courtney's book, so that's cool. That's cool.
Listen, everything that Courtney has done that I have read and own is spot on amazing. So, which cool. Means that I have to dig everything out before I actually sit down with Courtney next week so I can ask him questions.
Yeah, you got to ask the intelligent questions. So tell me about Dwimmer Mount, Courtney. Wait a minute.
Joe, tell me about Sir Fiston Dwimmer Mount. That's the inside joke that when we did a short play test of that, and when Tavis had to take over the project, and we were having drinks with Tavis one night, Tavis was like, "Oh yeah, give me some quotes. I can put you guys in the book." And
Sir
Fist was here. Yes,
he did. How do you spell it? I have that somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. But he basically what happened was I made a big stink about it, the 2000 coppers thing, and Tavis took it over, started getting this thing out the door, and I said, dude, it'd be kind of funny, like to put DM graffiti. DM would have graffiti on the wall somewhere that says something, and he said, I like graffiti in the dungeon. I said, dude, what you got to write then is Sir the Fist of Uther was here. And so if you look up if you have the Dwimmer Mount PDF, go look up Sir the Fist was here, or Sir the Fist of Uther was here, because that was my flail snails guy. We was playing all the time back then, and it was just me pissing on the room that the rats the 2000 coppers in. It was written on the wall of that room.
Yeah. So God bless. So
yeah.
wow.
Let's see. Matt says he is Matt. He says, I'm a hobbyist, nothing more than he says, I'm on the phone, so I'm not listening. Sorry. Typical, you basically hold his hand. I don't hear you. I don't hear you. That's Matt. We're grown up,
Yeah.
Matt. Real grown up. Okay.
You better watch out, Matt, because my son is now living in Nashville, working for Delta. I can sick him on you.
God. Now, where's he at now? Nashville?
He's my Chris is in Nashville now.
Yeah, I don't think Matt's that far from Nashville.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring. I can sick my son on you, which just means that he'll be asking you numerous questions about Nashville, and I'm sure you don't want to answer any of them anyway.
Yeah. I don't think Matt's big into Nashville. Are you, Matt? You're not a Nashville guy. See, this is Matt now. He's being talked about, but if he's keeping up his act of being on the phone so he doesn't have to respond,
I hear nothing
right now. Yeah, his
I
finger in his ears.
hear nothing.
But Nashville's a fun place, right? Nashville's fun and young and hip. Matt is neither young, fun, nor hip in any way, as we all know. So yeah, that's he's probably not a Nashville guy, but yeah.
Yep.
But he's getting better though. He fell off a ladder and he's got hurt, but he's much better, guys. And I got an update from Steve. Their zine they put out for Zine Quest it's on its way basically. So yeah, it's awesome. Should be out soon, I think. So and you guys back to Zine Quest, you back Steve and Matt's zine. It's going to come out soon. Yeah.
So many zines, so little time.
I know. I get them in the mail. I'm going to read this, and I put it down for a minute, and then it gets under a stack of other shit. I'm going to read this, and then next thing you know, I don't read it, and I'm like, fuck, what did I buy it for?
Oh my god, it was like Christmas for months after Zine Quest because I got in the mail every couple of weeks. It's like, oh my god.
Yep. That's nice. Yeah, I wonder who's going to be doing it this year. I don't know if Tim is going to do it again or not. I'm not sure. I wonder if Matt's going to do it. And Steve, you're going to do anything for Zine Quest?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I personally am not because I don't do Kickstarters.
Yeah.
But I would assume that Jeff Jones, layout artist extraordinaire, and really the taskmaster that keeps Torchlight going. I expect that he will have something out. Could it be Torchlight? Maybe. I doubt it. We will probably have an announcement for Torchlight next year.
Really? Is my shit coming out for Torchlight? That thing I gave you? I gave you 5 years ago.
Well, way back in the way back. Yeah,
it was. It was a different zine project you were doing. I said,
here, take this. Same name.
Yeah. Was it the same name? I remember.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's still liking. We got it. Don't worry, Joe.
It was what was it called, the Liber something. It was like for some Latin name for the book.
Yeah,
of Rust.
It's some fucking wacky evil book.
Yeah, Book of Rust, and it was kind of cool. Rust elemental, a rust golem you can make and cast various rust spells. Yeah, it was interesting. If it ever gets out there, that's cool. That'd be my first published thing, maybe. I think. Yeah. Shit. Not a publisher. I never got the bug, even back in the OSR days. That's one difference between me and a lot of guys is that they were writing shit on the blog and there was a natural evolution for them to put out something, right? Whether an article or a class or a thing. And there was opportunities, but I just never did it. It was never my drive or desire to do something like that. And only now am I finding that bit of a drive as I write the Bronze Age shit,
Well, you should. We're
We're
still on Blood Island, you fuck.
It's part of the setting.
Right,
I've incorporated it.
Good.
It's part of the world. It's the northern continent. Right now, you're at the South Pole. That's at the North Pole. Someday you might get there. Someday you may not. But it's there. God damn it.
Fair enough.
I'm thinking I'm going to do a mini little campaign in each continent to help flush out each one. Each continent or set of islands, so that then you get more of an interaction amongst them all. See how it all works together. So yeah. So it should be fun. Yeah,
Fair enough. So I think we have reached. I don't want to break out into like Carol Burnett's song. Was it I'm so glad we had this time together. Just to have a laugh and read a blog.
Yeah.
But no, this was good, and it was a good surprise for me too. So I really do appreciate that, Joe.
Yeah, sure, man. It was fun. It was a good time. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed just sitting there and trying to find stuff. There were so many posts just from December that I somewhat remembered or was interested in, and I was reading. I'm like, I gotta go. I don't want to have this, but I want to read it later. It's like that kind of thing, as I was going through
bookmark.
Yeah. It was pretty fucking cool, man. So Yeah, we're going 107 minutes. We've lost people. Only 7 people watching. We pissed them
Yeah, I
all
know.
off
We,
or something.
we were knocking near to 20 at one point, up to 9. Somebody
Oh,
heard you. Like, oh,
all right. We're
folks,
good.
listen, I'm going to do something I don't usually do, only because I always fucking forget. If you like us, if you've enjoyed this, subscribe, like, comment after the live stream, because it helps the algorithm, or so I've been told.
Yeah.
Other than that, thank you all. Really great. An interactive audience makes this an amazing show for Joe, for myself.
Yeah.
So really huge. As always, we're in the midst of the world of COVID. As we mentioned earlier, I'm immunized. Joe's immunized. I am not telling you what you need to do. Okay, I'm not saying get immunized, don't get immunized. I'm not saying wear a mask, don't wear a mask. I'm going to say use your common sense. Talk to a medical professional that knows your medical history and be guided. That's all I'm saying.
Amen.
All right. Be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. If you're Tim Shorts and you're a player, try to avoid those ones. I know you can't. I think Roll 20 just has a programming for Tim. And I'll be back again tomorrow, 8 p.m. with my lovely wife, Rach. We'll be doing Gamers Health. And I don't expect any more TSR updates. I don't think they can do any more updates for this fiasco. So
yeah. Plus the courts are closed over the weekend.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think there'll be bonus episodes coming out that we need to get addressed. So live stream tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Gamers Health, and I'll catch you all then.
Later, guys.
And now